My girlfriend posted, when he finally proposes, but you've already been planning to leave him skull as a joke the day after I proposed. I commented, joke's on me then. Then I returned the $11,000 ring and sent her the refund receipt. Original post. I, 30 male, work in logistics management for a distribution company. I coordinate shipping routes, manage warehouse teams, handle scheduling. It's not glamorous, but I'm good at it, and I clear about $74,000 a year. I drive a paid-off truck, I rent a one-bedroom that I've been in for 4 years, and I have a retirement fund that I contribute to like clockwork. I am boring on paper, and I have made peace with that. My girlfriend and I had been together for 2.5 years. She works in pharmaceutical sales, the kind where you visit doctors' offices and pitch medications. She's good at it. Makes around $85,000 with commission. She's charming, quick on her feet, and has this ability to read a room that honestly impressed me from the day we met. She can walk into a dinner party knowing nobody and leave with 6 new best friends. I'm the guy refilling his drink in the kitchen, trying to figure out when it's socially acceptable to leave. We were different in that way, but it worked, or I thought it worked. I want to back up a bit. About 4 months before the proposal, I started noticing something. Her phone behavior changed. Not in the obvious she's cheating way. No late-night texts, no hiding the screen. More like she was on it constantly, but specifically on social media and specifically posting things that felt different in tone. More single-girl energy content. Sharing posts about knowing your worth and not settling. Liking tweets about women who level up after leaving relationships. Subtle stuff. The kind of thing where if you say something, you're the insecure one. I noticed. I filed it away. I didn't say anything because I figured I was overthinking it. Then about 2 months before the proposal, her best friend, a girl she'd known since college, slipped up at a barbecue. I was grabbing beers from the cooler, and her friend was talking to someone else, and I caught the tail end of a sentence. Yeah, she's basically just waiting for the right time to. And then she saw me and stopped cold. Gave me this weird smile. I asked, right time to what? She said, right time to ask for a raise at work. She's nervous about it. I nodded like I bought it. I didn't buy it. But here's the thing about me. And I'm not saying this is healthy. I'm just telling you how my brain works. I compartmentalize. I took that overheard sentence and I put it in a box and I closed the lid. Because I was already planning the proposal. I'd already been saving for the ring. I was in too deep emotionally to let a half-heard sentence at a barbecue derail me. Stupid? Probably. But that's what I did. The ring. Let me talk about the ring because it matters. I spent $11,000 on it. Before anyone comes at me about spending that much, it was a solitaire diamond, 1.2 carats, set in platinum. Not because I'm flashy, but because she had very specifically described her dream ring on multiple occasions. She'd sent me screenshots of rings. She'd tagged me in Instagram posts of rings. She had a Pinterest board literally called, "When he finally gets it together," that was nothing but rings and proposal setups. I knew exactly what she wanted because she'd been telling me for a year. I saved for 8 months. I didn't use a credit card. I didn't finance it. $11,000 cash from a separate savings account I'd been building. I picked it up from a jeweler 2 weeks before the proposal and kept it in my truck's lockbox because I didn't trust myself not to give it away early. The proposal was on a Saturday evening. I kept it simple. Her favorite restaurant, the corner booth she always requested, a bottle of the wine we'd had on our first date. I waited until dessert, got down on one knee, the whole thing. She cried. She said yes. The table next to us clapped. The waiter brought us free champagne. It was perfect. I drove home that night, genuinely thinking I was the luckiest guy on the planet. Sunday morning, I woke up happy. Like embarrassingly happy. Made coffee. Made eggs. She was still asleep. I was scrolling my phone at the kitchen counter, smiling like an idiot. Then I opened Instagram. She posted at 1:47 a.m., so a few hours after we got home from the proposal dinner. It was one of those text overlay meme posts on her story, the kind with the blurred background and the bold white text. It read, "When he finally proposes, but you've already been planning to leave him skull, loudly crying face." She had 1,400 followers. Not huge, but not nothing. All her friends, co-workers, family. My family. Our mutual friends. She'd posted it publicly. I stared at it for probably 2 full minutes. My coffee got cold. The eggs burned. I didn't smell them. I just stood there reading it over and over like the words would rearrange themselves into something that made sense. Then I went to the comments. Her best friend, the barbecue sentence girl, had replied with screaming, loudly crying face, loudly crying face, loudly crying face, and a bunch of laughing emojis. 3 other friends had responded with things like girl in OO skull, and the accuracy though, and this is why I love you. Not a single person said, wait, that's messed up. Not one. I screenshot everything. The post, every comment, every reply. Then I did something that was either the best or dumbest decision of my life. I commented. From my actual account. Right there under her post. I wrote, "Joke's on me then," faced with tears of joy. Then I put my phone down, turned off the stove, threw the burned eggs in the trash, and went to the bedroom. She was still sleeping. The ring was on her nightstand, catching the morning light. I picked it up, put it in my pocket, and left the apartment. I drove straight to the jeweler. They opened at 10. I was there at 9:48, sitting in my truck in the parking lot with an $11,000 ring in my pocket and this bizarre sense of calm. Not anger, not sadness, just clarity, like someone had cleaned a windshield I didn't know was dirty. The jeweler had a 14-day return policy. I was within the window. The return process took about 20 minutes. They inspected the ring, verified the receipt, processed the refund back to my debit card. They gave me a printed receipt showing the full $11,000 refund. I sat in my truck and took a photo of that receipt. Clear, well lit, every detail visible. Then I texted it to her. No caption, no explanation, just the image. Then I blocked her number. It was 10:34 a.m. on a Sunday. She'd been asleep when I left. I imagined she woke up sometime around 11. I imagined she saw the text before she noticed the ring was gone. Or maybe she noticed the ring first. I don't know the exact sequence. I just know that by noon, my phone was exploding from every unblocked number in my contact list. Update 1, 6 days later. I need to address a few things from the comments before I get into what happened this week. Yes, I know it was just a joke is a possibility. I've considered it. I've thought about it every single day since Sunday. Here's why I don't care. If it was a joke, it was a joke made at my expense about leaving me, posted publicly 12 hours after I proposed to her with an $11,000 ring I'd saved 8 months for. The punchline of that joke is me. The audience for that joke is everyone we know. If that's her humor the night she gets engaged, what's her humor going to be after 10 years of marriage? And the barbecue comment from her friend? Waiting. For the right time to what? Ask for a raise? That sentence has lived in my head for 2 months, and I don't believe the cover story. I never did. Okay, here's what happened. By Sunday afternoon, I had 22 missed calls from numbers I hadn't blocked. Her mom, her sister, 2 of our mutual friends, and a number I didn't recognize that turned out to be her posting from her work phone. I didn't answer any of them. Her mom left a voicemail. I'll summarize. I was acting like a child. I had humiliated her daughter, and I needed to return the ring and apologize. Return the ring. The ring I bought. With my money that I'd already returned to the store. Her mom wanted me to somehow unreturn it and give it back to her daughter as an apology for taking back my own property after her daughter publicly joked about leaving me. The logic was breathtaking. Her sister sent me a text that said, "You're going to regret this when you calm down." I screenshot it and didn't respond. Monday, I went to work like normal. Sat in my office. Did my job. My buddy at work, one of the few people who knew I'd proposed, came in around lunch and asked how the engagement was going. I told him the short version. He sat down, put his sandwich on my desk, and said nothing for about 15 seconds. Then he said $11,000? I said yep. He said, "And she posted that?" I said yep. He picked up his sandwich and said, "You did the right thing, man," and walked out. That was the most helpful conversation I had all week. Monday evening, she showed up at my apartment. I knew she would eventually. She still had a key, something I hadn't thought about in the chaos of Sunday. I came home from work, and she was sitting on the couch, eyes red, clearly been crying for a while. She started with, "Can we please just talk about this like adults?" I said sure. She said, "That post was a joke. It was dark humor. All my friends make posts like that. It didn't mean anything." I said yes. I was happy. I was literally crying at that restaurant. I said, okay. Then what did your friend mean at the barbecue when she said you were waiting for the right time to? Her face changed, just for a half second. This micro-expression that I can only describe as caught. It was there and gone, but I saw it. She said, what are you talking about? I told her exactly what I heard. Word for word. The cooler. The sentence. The sudden stop. The cover story about the raise. She said, that was about my raise. I said, you got your raise 3 months ago. You told me about it. We went to dinner to celebrate. Silence. A long one. The kind where you can hear the refrigerator humming. Then she pivoted. She said, okay, even if I was having doubts, which I wasn't, that's normal. Everyone has doubts. It doesn't mean I was going to leave. And the post was still just a joke. I said, a joke that your best friend replied to with screaming and nobody. Not one person said that's messed up, which tells me it wasn't a joke to them either. They knew something. She didn't have an answer for that. She cried again. She asked for the ring back. I told her it was returned and the refund was processed. She asked if I could buy it again. I said no. She asked why. I said because I don't want to marry someone who posts about leaving me as entertainment content for her friends. She left, took her key off the keyring, put it on the counter, and walked out. I changed the locks the next day anyway, because I'm not stupid. Wednesday. This is where it gets interesting. Her best friend, barbecue girl, sent me a DM on Instagram. A long one. I'd missed blocking her because she'd changed her handle recently. The DM was supposed to be a defense of my ex. But what it actually did was confirm everything. She wrote, and I'm paraphrasing, you need to understand that she was going through a confusing time, and yes, she had thoughts about whether you were the right person, but she chose you, and the post was her way of processing those feelings with humor, and you punished her for being honest. Read that again. She had thoughts about whether you were the right person. Not she was joking. Not it meant nothing. Her own best friend tried to defend her, accidentally admitted that the post was rooted in real doubt. The joke was true. She'd been considering leaving. Her friends knew. The barbecue sentence was real. And when I proposed, she said yes anyway, either because she'd changed her mind or because turning down a proposal at a restaurant is socially difficult or because she figured she'd decide later. I screenshot that DM too, added it to the collection. Thursday, her dad called me. Her dad. This was a first. He and I had a decent relationship, but we weren't phone call close. He was calm. He said he didn't fully understand the situation, but that his daughter was devastated, and he wanted to know if there was any path forward. I liked her dad, so I was honest. I told him about the post. I told him about the barbecue. I told him about the best friend's DM. I said, sir, your daughter was planning to leave me, said yes to my proposal anyway, and then posted a joke about it for her friends. I can't build a marriage on that. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I appreciate you telling me. I'm sorry this happened to you. And he hung up. That's a good man right there. Update 2, 11 days later. Final update, because my life has settled into a rhythm and there's not much more drama to report, thankfully. After the phone call with her dad, things got worse before they got better. But the worst came from a direction I genuinely did not see coming. Her mom and sister decided to go on a campaign. Not on social media. Give them some credit, they're not that dumb. No, they went analog. Old school. Her mom called my mom. Not once. 3 times in 2 days. She told my mom that I had blindsided her daughter, that I had emotionally manipulated her by proposing when I apparently already had doubts, and that returning the ring and sending the receipt was financial abuse. Financial abuse. For returning a ring I bought with my own money. My mom, God bless her, listened politely and then called me and said, that woman is out of her mind, but tell me you're okay. Her sister took a different approach. She reached out to 2 of her mutual friends, a couple we used to hang out with, and told them a version of events where I had proposed as a trap so I could publicly humiliate her sister when she made one little joke. The mutual friends were confused because they'd seen the original post and they knew what it said. One of them, the husband, called me and said, hey man, her sister's telling people some wild stuff, just wanted you to know. I thanked him and told him the truth. He said, yeah, that's what I figured. Meanwhile, the Instagram post, the original joke post had been deleted by Monday. But screenshots live forever. I hadn't shared my screenshots with anyone. I'm not that guy. But apparently other people had screenshot it too, because it was circulating in at least 2 group chats I was tangentially connected to. People were discussing it. Not in a let's destroy her way, just in a did you see what she posted way. Organic word of mouth. I had nothing to do with it. She found out people were passing it around, and she blamed me. She sent me an email, the only channel I hadn't blocked, saying I was distributing her content without consent and that she was considering legal action. I showed the email to my paralegal buddy at work, and he literally laughed. He said, she posted it publicly on Instagram. That's not how any of this works. I didn't respond to the email. Now here's the part I want to spend the most time on, because it's the part that actually mattered. About a week after everything went down, I was cleaning up my apartment, taking stock of what was hers, what was mine, packing up the stuff she'd left, some clothes, a hair straightener, a few books, a drawer of random things she'd accumulated over 2.5 years. Normal breakup logistics. I found a notebook in the nightstand drawer. Her nightstand, she'd had the left side of the bed since she basically moved in part-time over the past year. The notebook was one of those little Moleskine journals, the kind she used for work call notes. I opened it. I know, boundaries. But at that point, boundaries felt like a luxury from a different timeline. The first 20 pages were work stuff. Call schedules, doctor names, product notes. Normal. Then there was a section near the back, separated by a bunch of blank pages, that was clearly personal. Dated entries, like a mini diary. Not daily, sporadic. Maybe once or twice a week. The entry started about 5 months ago. Around the same time her social media energy shifted. I'm not going to transcribe the whole thing, but here's the essence. She'd been having doubts about our relationship for months. Not because of anything I did wrong. She was pretty clear about that actually, which made it worse somehow. She wrote things like he's a good person, but I don't know if good is enough, and I keep thinking about what else is out there. There were entries about feeling stuck and like I'm settling. One entry mentioned a coworker, a guy on her sales team, in a way that wasn't explicitly romantic but had that energy. Had lunch with him again today, he just gets me in a way that's different. Nothing physical that she wrote about, but emotional? Yeah, that was there. The most recent entry was dated 2 days before the proposal. It said, he's going to propose soon. I can feel it. I don't know what I'm going to say. Part of me wants to say yes because it's easier than saying no. Part of me wants to run. And then she said yes. At the restaurant. While crying. While the table next to us clapped. While I was the happiest I'd ever been. I didn't feel angry reading that notebook. I felt something worse. I felt grateful. Grateful that she'd made that stupid post. Because without it, I'd be engaged to someone who wrote, part of me wants to run 48 hours before saying yes to my face. That post, the joke, was the most honest thing she'd said to me in months. And she said it to the internet instead of to me. I packed the notebook with the rest of her stuff. Didn't photograph it. Didn't tell anyone about it. I put everything in a box, texted her sister from an unblocked email that the box would be on my porch Tuesday between 5 and 7 p.m., and went to a buddy's house for the evening so I wouldn't be there when they picked it up. The box was gone when I got home. Nothing was left behind. The $11,000 has been back in my account for almost 2 weeks now. I moved it back to the dedicated savings account. It's just sitting there. I don't have a plan for it. Someone in the original comment said, invest it. And someone else said, take a trip. And someone else said, buy a really nice grill. The grill idea is honestly the frontrunner. Her family has gone quiet. No more calls to my mom. No more outreach through mutual friends. Either her dad got them to stop or they ran out of energy. I don't know, and I don't particularly care. The mutual friends have been interesting. Most of them have quietly shifted to his side, not because I campaigned, but because the post spoke for itself. A couple of them still talk to her, and that's fine. I'm not asking anyone to choose. One mutual friend told me she deleted all her social media accounts. I don't know if that's true, and I'm not checking. The coworker from the notebook? I don't know anything about that situation, and I don't want to. That's her life now. She can have lunch with whoever she wants. It's none of my business anymore, and that thought, honestly, is the most freeing thing I've felt in months. I'm not going to pretend I'm fine. I spent 8 months saving for a ring to propose to someone who was journaling about running away from me. That's going to take more than 2 weeks to process. I had a morning last week where I woke up and reached for the other side of the bed, and nobody was there, and I just lay there staring at the ceiling for 20 minutes before I could get up. That happened. It's real. I'm not some emotionless machine who returned a ring and walked into the sunset whistling. But I also know, with absolute certainty, that I made the right call. Not because of the post, not because of the barbecue comment, not because of the best friend's DM or the notebook or the coworker. Because of all of it together. Because the person I was proposing to had been living a parallel internal life for 5 months where she wasn't sure she wanted me. And instead of telling me, she said yes and posted a meme about it. I deserve to be somebody's first choice, not somebody's easier than saying no. That's it. That's the whole story. My savings account has $11,000 in it. My apartment has one less person in it, and my nightstand doesn't have a journal full of doubts that weren't mine to carry. Thanks for reading. I'm turning off the notifications. Go check on the people who say yes to you and make sure they mean it.